long day on my end. Okay. Now I see it.
Oh,
Now,
it's all good.
by
It's
the
all
way,
good.
there's a prompting, Ken. There's a prompting, Ken. Thanks, bro. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Okay.
What's
So,
up,
all right, guys.
everybody?
All right. So we're live now. So, all right. So she thought we were live. Like we were talking for like 15 minutes, and she thought we were live. And I'm like, dude, like you're giving me all these details. I'm trying to ask you about orbs and stuff. And she started talking. I'm like,
I totally,
can we?
I thought you said people were asking about orbs, and so I needed to start
No,
going because we
no,
were
no.
live. I totally misunderstood.
It's all
Okay.
good. It's all good. It's all good.
I
All right. So
promise you guys, the blonde hair does not mean I'm not out there. I'm sorry. I will chalk this up to it being a long day. So we'll start all over.
okay. All right. So today, guys, we're here with Yowachi, right? That's how you say your.
Almost Eoacci.
Oh God. Ewa,
You'll get it. He's used to calling me
Eowachi.
Jessica. Yeah, he's used
Okay.
to calling me Jessica. So this
Yeah,
is going to
I'm
take
used
some
to
getting
calling
used
you.
to.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, it's cool though that you came up with that name and like, or you channeled that name and stuff, and
Yeah.
all
And
that
you
kind
can
of.
just say, if you don't, and the last part of
I'm
it,
just
don't
gonna
even
call you
worry about
Jessica.
it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna call
That's
you Jessica.
fine. That's
Yeah.
totally fine. That's totally fine. Jessica, I'm going to answer to any of them.
Okay. All right, so we're here with Jessica and Jessica Hall, and to those of you watching on YouTube, Jessica is a very powerful, or I don't even know how to say it, orber. If there's a word for it, she is a very talented energy practitioner who can manipulate orbs and stuff like that. We've been friends for like a year, but I didn't know she had this ability until she just showed me one day, and I was like, "Wow, this is really interesting."
Yeah.
And 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 yeah, since then I told her like, hey, like, you should just really play with that more, and and expand upon that skill. And she kind of took my suggestion and started to play with the orbs, quote unquote, and stuff. And it's really cool, and that's really amazing that she was able to unlock this ability. So today we want to ask her about orbs and mostly and stuff like that, because like last time we got to hear about mainly her backstory and all that kind of stuff. So all right, so
Right.
just let's just get straight to it. So
Sure.
what first of all, to your understanding, what is that thing? What is an orb to your understanding?
Okay, and I'm with you. I haven't really figured out the proper title, so I just say solar orb or lunar orb. I feel like it's the best straight to like kind of getting straight to the point description, because it is the essence of energy that is magnetized to me with permission from the sun or from the moon. Or, of course, if I'm doing telekinesis outside, when we're speaking of like work with Gaia, like hydrokinesis, atmokinesis, stuff like that, I always ask permission before I connect. So when I first started this, whenever I brought it to your attention, it was for healing, because that was the first and foremost, because I recognize the connection as pure and as powerful. I knew that. I knew that much. And I knew that the feeling that I got from it was something that would benefit others, although I didn't know at the time how. And so I just recorded that very first video of me connecting. And it was, and that's why I was laughing so much in the video, because it was just this overwhelming sense of happiness, of joy, of love. And when I connect, a lot of people have asked me, can I do this from Reiki, or is Reiki or some other form of energy healing a good starting point for this? My answer to anything that's in regards to this is planetary essences, or the energy of the planets or the sun, the star. Those are very highly conscious beings that their energy and their frequency is going to be way different than an object that's matter based or carbon based, such as the body, right? Or an object in your house. So when you're thinking in terms of that and the connection you have, yes, if you have an understanding of healing through, or energy through healing, because you would be connecting with a soul, which is the closest thing you're going to get to a conscious being in terms of planets, right? You always ask for permission to connect, which is what I do. Once I ask for permission to connect, the energy is magnetized to me. The orb is there. I can make it bigger based on how deep I want the connection to go, which would be exactly the same format I would follow if I was wanting to do a very deep seated healing session on someone, or a cleansing. So if you're able to understand energy and frequencies most notably, because I'm connecting to a specific frequency that these cosmic beings give off. Okay. And that's what they are. And they're very, very highly aware of us as we're aware of them. And so when you ask permission, this is something that took me daily going out, just connecting in nature, connecting with the planets, connecting with the sun, connecting with the moon. But my very first connection with the moon that brought this in was a full surrender. Like, I mean, I'm talking, I went out there and I said, okay, I surrender my control of trying to control this energy. I surrender that. The moon recognized that, and it dropped me to my knees. It dropped me to my knees. That energy was so powerful that came through me, that I sat there and I was crying for about 30 minutes because it was so joyful, but it was so powerful. From that point on, I could connect to the moon, no problem. Same thing with the sun, but the sun was a bit different because the moon is a feminine energy. The sun is a masculine energy. And so with the sun right now, a lot of people, I don't know if they're aware of it or not, but there is a specific type of energy that's coming in through our sun. It's a very high vibrational, very divine frequency. If you can tap into that, it's a very powerful energy. But all you have to do is it's with anything. If you want to connect to any vibrational frequency, you have to match that frequency. So if you're wanting to connect to something of that high of a vibration, that much of a divine vibration, you must be at the same vibrational frequency in order to magnetize that to you, to which you are attempting to attract. It's based in the law of attraction. Okay, unto which itself is attracted. So if you're wanting to attract a lunar orb or a solar orb, you must match the vibration of that conscious being. So, and you will know it because you'll feel it. You'll feel it in your heart chakra. You'll feel it in your crown chakra. You will feel that energy move through you. You know it. Anybody that's practicing telekinesis, that's watching this, you guys know energy well enough. You know when that connection is made, right? So the closest I can say would be if you have any sort of connection within the elements and you know how that connection feels, magnify it by about 5 to 10 times. That's the power that you're going to feel in that connection. But it's a very, very, if you're not ready for it, it can be very overwhelming. And that's why it's very good to prepare yourself. Make sure that when you go into it, you're just simply open to receiving that energy, because they're going to send to you whatever your intent is behind it. So if your intent is in love and gratitude and to use that energy for good, as we all hope everybody is, then it's going to.
Sorry. You know what I realized? You had a major screw up. I had a major screw up too. We are not quite live right now. No, but we both messed up. I'm so sorry. But this is recorded, but it's not live yet. No, it's okay. It's okay.
But look,
keep going.
Here, you know what? But you know what's funny, Ken? I'm gonna say this real quick. We have planned on this being live at 8 o'clock, and this is the universe simply just making us stick to our word. I swear.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that's hilarious. Okay, so
you're not the only one that's screwed up, because I was wondering, like, why is nobody watching? And then it's like, am I? Because usually I have.
They're not interested in Ken. They're not interested. They don't want to know about solar orbs. They don't want to know about lunar orbs. What are you talking about?
Okay, we're finally live. Finally we are live.
Sure. Are you sure? Are you sure?
Yeah,
okay. All right. So
yeah, keep going, because it was recorded. So.
Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, well that works. So basically, hang on. Let me put my phone on do not disturb real quick, because I don't want anything to come in. Okay, so basically, what I was saying is that when you want to connect, when it's in terms of planetary, like the sun and the moon, you want your intent to be pure and to come from the highest vibration possible, because these conscious beings, that's all they know, right? The planets are conscious. So if you're at your highest vibration and you kind of, it's almost in a sense of, I would relate it to when I channel, where I'm still present, but I kind of move myself aside and allow whatever I ask to come in at whatever strength, because some of the orbs are bigger, some of them are smaller, some of them more powerful than others, just depending on the day. So, and that is also a mirrored reflection of my vibration at that time. So when the orbs are more powerful, it's because that joy within me is a lot more fragrant. It's a lot more apparent, and people can feel that even through the videos. They're feeling it from the orbs, and they're also feeling it because I'm also channeling, not just connecting, but I'm channeling that energy at the same time. So this is like a full-blown connection from crown to root, root to crown, and above. So number one, make sure before you connect that you understand what your intent is behind the connection, because if you're trying to connect with anything other than love and gratitude, you're not going to probably get results. And if you do get results, it's not going to be lasting, and it's not going to be beneficial. It's probably not going to feel great. It's probably going to be a bit overwhelming. It might make you sick. So honestly, for me, it's at that point to where it's so natural that, but this is something that I would say to anybody: before you practice anything outside of your own cultivation of energy, when you're attempting to connect with other frequencies, understand the frequencies and get a feel for how they feel. Because it would be like, okay, when I connected to you that one time, right? I had to get a feel for what was going on before I could address anything, right? And we won't go into detail about that, but you understand what I'm talking about. And so trying to and translating that in terms of a telekinetic ability, it's basically the same thing. It's getting a scan of the frequency, understanding that the frequency is the same vibration of me. It's a high vibration. I can feel it in my heart chakra. I know it's love. I know it's purity. And when I know that, then boom, it's magnetized to me, because I'm vibrating at the same frequency of that which I'm attracting. And that's the law of attraction in full play, but outside of the realm of manifestation, because the law of attraction applies to so many other things other than just manifestations. And most people don't think of it in that way. Just like with the law of duality and other things like that, other laws within the universe. So, but this was something that I spent many, many days. You know, I've been dedicated to this every day, dedicating myself to understanding energy, understanding frequencies, understanding vibration, understanding healing to the best and most in depth I possibly can. And my approach to that through the conscious mind, meaning by finding that inner balance and harmony within me. And if I just simply sit there, like right now, I could sit there and think of my intent of, okay, I want to cultivate energy. And I can sit there and I can literally move my eyes from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet, and I can feel the energy flowing through my chakra system. I could connect to you right now and just prove it to you. It's something that through my intent and my own knowing, I've become so comfortable with. So energy to me, in terms of the way that I approach it and I practice it, is just natural. Now, I'm not inside moving objects with my mind or anything, because that's not something I've focused on. But I have no doubt that if I were to apply that to what I wanted to do, I could do it. But we're all here. We're all here, and we're all meant to do certain things. Our abilities are meant to provide a certain aspect within a certain realm, and mine have been more centered around the planets and nature instead of matter and carbon based items or objects. Now, instead of people, I'm not going to include people in that, because people are obviously carbon and matter based, but are carbon based. So but it's really something that's just if I had to give one word of advice, honestly, understand energy to a degree to which you can fully understand not only your own vibrational frequency, but any vibrational frequency that you're connecting to. Because I mean, you know, when your vibration's low, You know when you're not in the best place to really do much of anything, whether it's cultivate or connect or anything. So if you try to go outside with a lower vibrational frequency, you're probably not gonna have as a good luck. You know what I'm saying? But that's just with anything when it comes to energy. The higher you can maintain the vibration, the higher the connection, the stronger the connection, the stronger the orb, the bigger the orb. At this point, when it comes to solar orbs, they're literally like they're there all the time for me. That's something that's just, but I've worked very, very closely with that connection to Helios and with the energy coming in through Helios. And I say that the way that I do because that is the importance of the connection. And I know that there's probably some out there that are not very they're not might not have as much awareness around that, but there's some very high vibrational frequencies of divine light coming in through our sun from the seven suns. And this is something that if you tap into, yes, it's fucking powerful. It's very powerful because it's one of the highest vibrations. It's divine vibration, but you have to meet it. You see what I'm saying? You have to meet it. So if you can't match the vibration, you can't, I mean, you're not going to get a connection in which you're desiring. So it would be intent matched with your high vibration.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm really amazed at how far. I mean, I'm no, obviously not a teacher, you know what I mean? Like we got a new teacher and like Mr. Steve Gray and stuff like that. But really, I mean, like I am really amazed at how far you've changed in your energy development. I mean, when I first met you, you were, I'd say you were pretty good, but you really came a long way. I mean, really amazed me of how much you've developed your abilities and stuff like that. And like,
Thank
you
you.
really because I mean, when I first met you, you were going through a lot in life and stuff. I mean, I was around that time kind of too.
Yeah.
Yes, and like I think we both came a long ways, and you became very powerful. And now that we met Steve, I think it's really now time for us to really like start playing with real stuff. Like now, play with
Yes.
the ancient knowledge and start taking this to the next level. Could you talk about what you want to gain out of Tenshan Nekum and Steve?
Oh, yes,
And all that
definitely.
kind of.
Yeah, because I've actually had a couple of conversations with Steve, and I don't think I'm not going to share, everything that we've spoken about personally, but I will speak about a few things. One of the things that he had asked me to bring out there was, he was impressed with the abilities that I have, and the one thing that he said was that, you know, any abilities that we come there with will be heightened. They will be taken to the nth degree, right? So,
Did he really say
think
that?
yes,
That's
he told
awesome.
me,
I didn't know
yeah,
that because I mean, I just want to say something real quick. Like when it comes to special abilities, like telekinesis mainly for most of us, you know, I know that he doesn't necessarily like it when people are pursuing that stuff to show off. You know what I mean? Like he's looking
exactly.
more
He
sincere
likes the
about.
purpose and the structure and the
Right, right,
discipline.
right, right,
There's, yeah,
right. But
definitely.
I mean,
But he's also
oh no, what I was about to say was,
go
but I
ahead,
mean,
go ahead. I'm sorry, sweetie. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
oh no, but I mean, like obviously, I'm curious. Like if I practice Tian Shan long enough, is my abilities going to be heightened to the point where I'm going to be doing some really crazy stuff? You know what I mean? And that I am curious about, but that isn't obviously why I want to learn from him. I want to learn from him because I really want to truly learn the real energy system that's like truly ancient and like prehistoric and powerful, and really get that light body,
Right.
rainbow body, or whatever body you want to call it, immortality, all that kind of stuff. That's what I'm really after and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
but go ahead, what were you going to say?
Well, and no, and definitely, and I think in each of us, the reason why there's certain ones of us that have not only joined the group, but that he has specifically said yes. I accept you. I want you to come out here. I know he's told that to you. I know he's told that to me. And the one thing that he had asked was that if I would bring my healing abilities, he would show me the physical aspects that I had yet to attain, meaning like the warrior aspects. Because although I have, practiced martial arts, like I told you, and I have a background in that, and I still do shadow boxing and such, but the way that I would say in something that's a little bit parallel, but not nearly what is being practiced within that ancient culture, is I allow whatever comes to me to flow through me, whether it ends up in a combination shadow boxing move or whether it ends up in just pure dancing or tribal dancing based on my history. But there are things that he even told me that he said, I'm learning a lot lately. There's a lot of things where I guess he felt like he had this, I call it almost like it's not a pinhole perception, but the way he was trained is the way he was trained. And there's certain ways that you can still come into this practice and elevate and achieve everything that you're wanting to achieve, but each of us are still on a different path. And so as we go out there, the main thing that he's wanting us to do is come out there and fulfill whatever our path is. And so, as he's training with a healer right now, that's also very well practiced in the warrior aspect of energy, I guess you could say. And they're out there working together right now. There's aspects that he's learned from someone that does have that healer ability and that healer. Yeah.
Right, right.
And so he was saying, there's a lot that he's learned. And so with him asking me that, if I could, and I hope he's okay with me saying this, if I could just come out there and bring my abilities and what I know and help incorporate that a little bit. And then he would teach me the things that I have yet to learn. Because like he said, like you said, my abilities are vast, but the way that I've approached my path has been in such a multitude of, it's like in a multitude of everything. So what I'm going out there to gain is, yes, whatever is open for me to achieve will be achievable. And that's what I told him, because I feel like when I get out there, I'm going out there for a reason, number one, and I'll be going out there to stay for quite some time. And so I am not looking at it as what can I not achieve? It's I'm going to achieve whatever I set my mind or my intent towards achieving. And so you start to teach it, whatever is being taught to me, I'm going to achieve it, because that's the intent that I have set, because that's the next part of my journey. Because I feel like whatever we learn there, everything that we're going to learn there, everything that we're going to learn there, and everything that we're going to be able to incorporate in our own specific ways. If you think about it, whatever we're able to bring back and pass along without passing along any knowledge that is only able to be kept between student and teacher, anything else that we're able to pass along to those that are interested, then we're planting that seed of knowledge from an ancient culture that otherwise would die. And at the same time, we're doing it within the specialty of our own abilities. And so that really gives it that variety of telekinetic majority or healing majority or whatever, but you're applying different perceptions within the same aspect and the same approach, which honestly to me is limitless. Because we're talking about energy, and energy in general, it never dies. It's forever. It's forever changing. It's just forever changing forms. It's the only thing consistent in the universe is energy, because energy is change, and change is the only constant. And so if we're not constantly seeking to evolve that which we already know, then we're not growing. And if we're not seeking, then we're not on the right path. And so I think, especially speaking for you and me both, because we've both been such devotees to our path, that for me, it's just to heighten anything and everything that is open for me to heighten. And I know that will come through once I get there. He's already helped me figure out how I'm going to get Bruiser out there and everything. So, I'm preparing this for the long run, for the good, and to be able to, speaking it from a female perspective, knowing I don't know of many other females that are going out there. I'm very happy that I can be that female essence and withhold that balance of that femininity and that healer, loving, unconditional loving aspect, but still that warrior aspect as well.
Nice.
And, that's something that I'm really excited about, because having that balance of the two, I think is going to be very new, but it's going to be very valuable. That's what I'm already understanding, because he's even told me the perceptions that I've been able to offer on some things were ones that he would not have thought about. And, I think his words were, maybe you could, that maybe you guys can teach an old man a few new things, just like he's going to be teaching us 10,000 things that we could have never even known without him. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I think it's
Yeah.
that's where the whole process of the whole student and the teacher comes into play in that construct, and that relationship is, it's a really close relationship for that reason. And there's chosen people to join him for that reason, because
Mhm.
we're each bringing something there that, when incorporated with that training, is going to provide us with the limitlessness, but through the heart of ones that are not wanting to use it for bad. We have pure hearts. We're going out there with the purity of just simply wanting to gain the mastery and gain the understanding and the knowledge and apply it in the proper way. Because obviously, there will be ones wanting to go out there and take this and not use it in the proper way. And I think that that's where that
Right.
fine line is. And that's where he's very selective about who's going to come out there and who's not, is because, just like we've spoken about before, even in telekinesis, people can learn it, but that doesn't mean that they're the right people to know it. And so
Right.
I think,
Right. I mean, I obviously it takes extreme amount of discipline to even develop these kinds of abilities, and like you definitely have came a long way with that kind of stuff. But I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, I obviously have no idea how powerful he actually is, because I mean, and obviously I know he will never admit it to, and that's okay. And I mean, I honestly don't. I may never know what his actual attainment is and stuff. But I mean, I'm connected to very well connected to his main student Chris Fazio, and
yes,
he
yes.
told me some stuff, and I'm not gonna obviously say it out loud publicly, but I mean,
Well, it's some of the same stuff that we talked about. He brought up to me
right, right,
personally.
and right, and obviously, we don't need to, publicly
Yeah.
say it, but I mean, like, you know, if that is only possibly a fraction of what he can do, then that's, I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's, if I have to guess, there's probably literally like a handful of people like him in this world. So yeah,
If that,
it's
yeah. If
really a
that.
treat to know Mr. Steve, and Steve is truly valuable, and we're really lucky. We're really lucky that we're,
Honestly.
yeah, very, very.
Yes. We're and he's a very humble, nice, just generous. I mean, and that's why I say, he recognizes that aspect within us on a heart level, on a love level. Like me and we were talking about unconditional love and gratitude, and the depths of which those of us that hold that, and he was talking about, he has that empathy for people. But there's this, he knows what he senses and knows that he's wanting to pass this down to, and the ones that will uphold and withhold those aspects to the degree to which they're meant to be within the culture. But also, I feel like he's also in a way wanting us to make it our own, but still maintaining the respect of the culture itself, the respect of the cultural lineage, how it's passed down, how it's taught. And we would, of course, I know you wouldn't, I know I wouldn't, nor would anybody else that goes out there and trains with him. We would never step outside those boundary lines and ever take anything outside of that training that was not meant to be or allowed to be. But that doesn't mean we can't incorporate the knowledge in our own way to help others without them even knowing that that's what's taking place. And I think that's the beauty of it, is when you reach that level of mastery, if it's obtained, you're passing and you're planting a seed of knowledge, of awareness, of healing, of training, of whatever you want to call it, telekinetic ability, without people even knowing where it's coming from. because our abilities are going to be at such a degree to where nobody has to know where it comes from. But that's the whole point of our path taking us there, is because there has to be those that carry it on. And there has to be those that carry it on in a way that is out of just pure desire to not only fulfill that path, but to do it in the right way. And I think that's the most important thing that Steve recognizes within us and those others that are part of this path with us. So I know I'm honored. I am excited. You know, I'm already making plans for it. Of course, it probably won't be till the end of the year next year, but I'm grateful that you did the interview. I'm grateful because that led to me being able to touch base with him and him being able to check out my stuff. And then, of course, you know, we all ended up on the same path together, which it seems like that happens with me and you a lot. You know,
Yeah,
our
yeah,
paths are always on the, we're always in
yeah,
alignment. We're always in alignment. And I love
yeah.
that because we're family, man. We're pretty much family. So I love that. And it's something that we will be able to share among those, not just between us, but between those we're closest to, in terms of those that are doing the training. And like I said, this can still be something that is passed down without giving the information of where it came from, just incorporating it in a way that's very, very minor. And what I mean is, like, say if I went to do a healing, but my abilities have been heightened and I could basically bypass a certain way that I used to go about healing, because now I can go directly to that through my mastery, then I'm going to be able to do that, which is helping somebody a lot quicker and a lot stronger than before. They don't know that I couldn't do it that way prior. You
Right.
know, it's not. It's,
I just, when you were, when we were talking about Steve and you started talking about healing, I was talking to Chris 2 days ago, I think, on Facebook, you know, on video chat. And he actually told me something that was interesting. Apparently, and this is maybe why Steve, I obviously don't know, but maybe this is why Steve is possibly intrigued by your abilities, because he was telling me that in order to do healing, like, you know, you can't just apply like chi, if you will, to the
no,
injury or the to the illness or whatever, the area that's sick in your body. He was saying
exactly.
that he was saying something like, he was implying that you have to use the sky energy in order to do healing.
Yes.
I don't know what
Zero,
that
like
means, but
zero, zero,
that's what
like
he told me. So
like universal
maybe
energy or
you're
zero
doing it.
point energy.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like
maybe you're doing it the right way that he
mhm.
thinks is the right way. I don't know. I obviously know nothing about healing, so I'm just guessing here. But
Yes, based on what Steve has implied towards me, there is an aspect of my approach that he is wanting, I guess, you know, he's interested. I'll just say he's interested in. So because you know, in terms of my healing abilities, I do animal healings. Yes, I have my master Reiki certification, but I mean, I've healed animals as far away as South Africa, and I'm not anywhere near the person. I can do a bilocation with my energy. I can literally go into a meditative trance while channeling and just put my energy in that location and connect to the animal through the guides, through my guides, and apply that energy through a channel, because my body just becomes a vessel. So the energy that I'm using, yes, there is cultivated energy from the heart chakra. There has to be. That's your healing center. But all the energy that is used in healing is, you know, it's cosmic, it's divine, it's channeled, it is coming through me for the other person. But you have to be an open vessel, an open enough vessel, and you have to have that you have to be cleansed enough. You have to be, that's why I say a pure channel, because there has to be that purity there. There has to be that ability for that energy to come in completely as it's supposed to. Because when you connect to another person, I connect with them on a soul level. I'm connecting my soul, my heart chakra, soul to soul, right? So everything I channel is specifically for that soul, meaning it's coming directly from intelligent infinity through me to them for exactly what is needed in that moment. So within an hour to 2 hours, whatever they choose for the healing, I don't go over 2 hours. And then within 24 to 48 hours, the healing is integrated. It takes place. I mean, you're a little bit familiar with my processes, and so but obviously within healings where something is needing to be taken place more long term, I definitely, ask for people to do at least an hour because of the amount of energy that's channeled, and the amount of ability to receive. And that would, of course, be up to the person on how much they want to take in. But yes, it's definitely very different than cultivated energy. And that's the whole thing I was talking about in terms of perception. And when I talk about healing attachments, and they were talking about, well, you can't really heal attachments. And I said, I know that, but the whole point is to decentralize from that energy, and you become the witness to the attachments. That's not saying, because we're never supposed to attach to joy or attach to sorrow. We're supposed to become the witness to these things happening. Emotions are energy in motion. So if you place your awareness on too much joy or too much sorrow, then you're going to continue following that path, but then you're going to create a pendulum of energy that will attach you to that, and you're going to have to get yourself out of it somehow. So if you can become the witness and you can recognize those emotions as signposts, as energy just passing. It's like if you're at a four-way stop and that person pulls up to that stop sign before you, you let them go before you. Hey, how you doing? Let them go on through. There, everything's good. And that's how the energy should be when it moves through you as an emotion. As you let it move through you, you see if it's a lesson or if it's just passing through. If it's a lesson, there might be a minor attachment, but that's how it's meant to be momentarily. Then you release the attachment, then you move on to the next. Either the next one's going to be a move through, or it's going to be an attachment that you're going to have to heal through. And so that's what I mean by healing attachments. I don't mean that they're all healed for good, because we have to still go through the human experience of duality. So there will be that flux always, but you can become the witness to it without consistently having to detach all the time. You can just simply experience it, release it, and go on. And that's what I mean by that. And so when I started to understand that, that's what I pass along to people and try to help them understand it as well.
Let's go back to the orbs one more time. I mean, obviously, that is a very, unique ability that you've unlocked. I have two friends that can do orbs. Well, actually three that I know of that can mess with orbs and stuff like that. Another girl too. I don't know if
yeah, you sent me your video.
Yeah, Gemma, or she goes by Gemstone. She's very talented she's the best as far as I know when it comes to actually summoning orbs. I don't know if I don't know if she's summoning orbs, but she's very good at orbing. There's another. Well, Morbius, my
yes.
fellow admin, he has sent me a video as well of him meditating, and he's never, I don't know if he wants to publicly show the video, but there was orbs all around him during the day while he was meditating and stuff like that. Do you have you ever had, well, you never perhaps recorded it, but while you're meditating and stuff like that, have you noticed orbs flying around,
yeah, and I can actually tell you what that is for him, honestly, just from just knowing what it is from being told just now, and also knowing what it is because I've experienced it. Those are not just energy orbs that the person is cultivating. Those are orbs of energy that are connected to the soul itself. So that could range from the energy from the soul grouping, meaning your higher self. So when you get in a meditative a meditative trance or a meditative position where you're in that brainwave frequency, right, where you're connected to the ether or the all that is, and that subconscious mind is at rest. That means your body is in that astral projection mode, right? So you're in your astral body technically. Okay, when that happens, what you're experiencing is, yes, there could be the cultivating or magnetizing of orbs to you due to the elevated vibration, but more than likely when there's multiple orbs like that, that's a sign of other frequencies or other vibrational presences, other energetic presences. And I know that's a bit out of the realm of the telekinetic subject matter, but honestly, it's also still in very parallel to connecting to a solar orb. or a lunar orb, because those are conscious orbs of energy. So when there's multiple ones in that mindset, I would be very curious, and I'd be willing to bet that he would answer yes to this. I'd be willing to bet that he was having some sort of communication through telepathy or something, either consciously or unconsciously, of that, where those orbs of energy were somehow connected, not just to him, but through him. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as he went to that brainwave frequency, his vibration is pure. It's not being tainted by any belief, any thought, anything. It's a clean slate. When that happens, other energetic frequencies can start coming in, and they're going to appear as orbs. That's how they're going to appear to us, through our sensory perception, and also through any other perception, whether it's through a camera or a third eye perception, or whatever. They could present themselves as a bit more solidified in a third eye perception, but I would be willing to bet that those orbs of energy, unless he was directly focused with the intent on magnetizing orbs to him of a specific element or a specific energy, then those were actually coming to him and through him from the frequency that he was tuned into at the time he went into that meditative state, that brainwave frequency.
Mm-hmm. Another thing I wanted to, and this is what I'm really curious about. My original teacher that I had, yeah, I'm not gonna say his name, but you know who I'm talking about, Mr. M's teacher, Mr. M.
Yeah.
His teacher, so like I guess who would be my grandmaster, if you will. He was very. I never got into the studying the orbs and like actually connecting to the orbs, or even summoning orbs for that matter. So I knew nothing about it. But he was briefly telling me once while we were talking that he can essentially project his consciousness into the orbs, and then once you can connect, you can actually start seeing things, like basically do remote viewing with the orbs and stuff like that.
Right, because they're in essence of like I was saying, in essence of like when I said, like when I said, like when, depending on where his intent was, when he could be connecting to other portions of his soul grouping, that's what he's talking about. Though that's still any essence of your consciousness is still connected to the higher consciousness of your being, which is your higher self, and that contains a soul grouping. And so if you're connecting in that level, then yes, whatever your consciousness is focused on, that intent and that energy is going to come through you from that higher level consciousness and present itself in the only way that it is able to within this holographic projection of quantum entanglement of reality that we experience, which would be an orb of energy. But that orb of energy is still fully connected to that individual on an individual level, either through intent of whatever they were wanting to magnetize to them or through them, or it is a projection of the connectedness to the higher mind. It can really, that's really going to be two of the main ones that you're going to see. Anything higher than that would be depending on, that would have to be something that you'd really need to know more detail about, like the specifics of what exactly was the intent in the meditation, and was there a specific focus within the consciousness to not only pull in the higher, like the higher vibrational frequency from the higher self, because you can actually, in a meditation, or even without the meditation, even in a channeling, you can ask your higher self in the fifth dimensional presence to assist by delivering the energy from the fifth dimension, where you do have a residency, so to speak, and you can use that energy and channel that energy to you. All you have to do is ask, and as long as you're asking with a positive intent, with a good intent, with a pure intent, it will be sent to you if you ask. That's what I mean by as long as your vibration is through love and gratitude and joy and all that is based in that sacred service to others path, there's really nothing that's not possible if you have no belief system around it. It's really, that's why I said that's the way I look at things, and that's even what I told Steve, is there's nothing that I feel like there's nothing I can't accomplish. because if I start looking at it as something I can't accomplish, then that's just a belief system. I've locked myself in my own cage of slavery, you know, because I'm believing something a certain way. So yeah, it definitely sounds like what was coming forth was the projected energy from the higher levels and higher realms of consciousness, and possibly from the other parts of the soul grouping, which make up the higher self, or the mind body spirit complex, as it's better known in the ancient teachings. Mind body spirit, or mind body spirit complex.
Excellent. Okay. Excellent. I can't say excellent explanation. So, Jessica, it's, in about 15 minutes, it's going to be about an hour. There's another thing that you started doing, which is like, speaking in tongues, or I guess you would call it light language, if you will. Could you talk about that a little bit? Is that part of
Sure.
channeling? And, I know you have a
Yes.
Christian background. Like, how is that different from like Christian speaking in tongues and stuff? Like, can you explain that?
Well, even though I had a Christian upbringing, I left the church when I was in junior high or high school. So I grew up in the church, but then I understood within my deeper self that what was being taught in the church wasn't completely true. People perceive it as speaking in tongues because there is no translation as they know it. What it is when I channel that purity of that light, it's simply coming through. It's coming through my crown. It's going through my heart chakra. It's just pure divine light. And then it's reverberating off my throat chakra. So it comes out as what it is. It's divine light codes that, if you could say, are being spoken in a sensory perception, such as speech, then those codes are being reverberated off my vocal cords. Okay, there are a handful of people that do this properly and purely. Heather, through activation vibration, is one of them. If people haven't looked her up, she's great. She's fantastic. She's a beautiful woman. She's her and her boyfriend have got some fantastic information. But how I found out what I was doing was, there was this one day where I knew I was specifically tuning into some divine frequencies, because I was starting to tell the difference between cosmic frequencies and divine frequencies. And so I started asking my higher self, okay, so what is this? And all of a sudden, it was like this stuff started coming out. I couldn't stop it. I felt really stupid at first, because I didn't understand what was going on. And I was like, why is this wanting to come out? Why is this happening? I thought at first like something had gone wrong. Something had gone wrong in my healing, like I didn't understand it. And then I see it pop up on my feed, because I asked my guides for some assistance, and boom, there comes Heather's page pop up. Never seen her before, never heard of her. I see activation vibration. And one of her videos, or a set of her videos, is dedicated to light language. And what this is where you're literally tapping into, like I said, it's like turning a radio tuner. After your channel is pure, so I become like a radio. I'm completely cleansed, and my chakras are open. Everything's open. There's no blockages. There's no sick energy. There's nothing but just pure high vibrational energy. And I just tune in that radio frequency to a certain dial, and I can tune into cosmic frequencies, divine frequencies, receiving light codes. I can even connect to the sun, and I can receive a very masculine. It comes out very guttural. It's very masculine. You'll even hear tone in my voice change. You'll hear a lot of the things within my voice will actually shift and change. Sometimes my face will change. My eyes will change color. This is something, if you're not recognizing it or aware of it, you wouldn't know what's happening, because it happens very quickly. But that's the energy coming through me. And it's not speaking in tongues, although I guess if someone perceives it that way, that's how they could perceive it, because it doesn't really have most people don't know the translation, but I know what I'm saying. And I started recording videos where I speak the light language, and I follow it up with the closest translation within all known languages that I can access, because there are some words that we simply do not have in any language to match what's coming through. But that's the evolutionary process that we're going through right now. That's what these codes are for. It's for this evolution. So when people hear this, I've had some very, very, even in self-mastery coaching, I will have light language come through because it's part of their upgrade. It's part of their mastery. And I have had so many people just release so much. It's not meant to be a healing session, but it's a healing modality. It's a very powerful healing modality. So I can speak it and it evokes emotions because people recognize it for what it is. It's purity of light. It's purity of the divine. It's a purity of a cosmic frequency that's of the highest vibrational frequency of love and light. So basically it came through for me to help heal me. And then as I started to understand it and I started to see that, okay, this is tangible, this is real, and this is okay. There's times where I feel more comfortable speaking that than I do normal language. Like sometimes I'll be speaking and I'll be chanting for someone and I'll have to stop and distinguish between what my guides are wanting me to say, because my guides I'll be speaking very fast and all of a sudden it'll shift to a code mode. And so it happens very, very quickly. But if you see people that do channeling, that's pretty much how it happens, because we're simply just repeating what multiple people or multiple essences are telepathically speaking to each other, and that's being translated through our conscious connection to them, vibration, and then that comes through our vessel or through my vessel, and I just repeat it. I'm just a messenger. That's all I am.
Excellent. Okay.
So it's really, I'll have more videos up soon with, I've actually got one already recorded for my podcast where I've got some translation in there. Not all of it is meant to be translated because there just is not, we don't have the technology, we don't have the words, we don't have the language. Some of it is not meant to be spoken. The whole point of all of that is to hear it and feel it. And that's where most people get confused. They focus too much on what does it mean? What does it mean? What is it? What is it? What kind of language is it? What are you speaking? And I just tell people, stop questioning it, receive it, and tell me how you feel. Once they do that, then there comes that process of becoming receptive, surrendering that belief system, open themselves up, and then they start their own healing process without even recognizing it.
Nice. Very cool. Okay. Well, Jessica, is there any final thoughts that you want to share or express, or anything you want to share that's on your mind?
No, I really think that's pretty much it for now. I think the next one would be, I guess, after we get back from Steve's training. I think that would probably be the next awesome time to talk about stuff. But
I'm very curious to see like what you'll be able to, what type of psychic abilities, or your orbing stuff, how it's going to evolve, like what it's going to evolve into and stuff like that. I'm very curious to see after you do Tian Shan Ne Kung and stuff like that. And it'll be really
same for you.
Again, like I don't want to,
we're both gonna,
I want to be like doing like crazy telekinesis and stuff like that. But I mean, if that happens, I mean, that'll be cool. That'll be interesting. But I mean, I'm not going there with that intent. The real intent is towards enlightenment and immortality and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Well, I have and like I told you, I left this message for you. Enlightenment happens sometimes. Like I know my own. It happens in the moments we expect it to happen under strenuous training like that, or under training of a master. But sometimes it happens in moments when we least expect it, like in that moment where we find that true desire to be okay with everything that we are within ourselves and everything that we are, as like, that's when I say that I'm unconditional love and I love everybody as if they are me, not as if they are mine. I truly mean that. I truly mean that. My enlightenment came to me, my spontaneous Kundalini awakening, all of that happened through the recognition of the unconditional love that had been present within me this entire time. But I was just not willing to accept because I didn't feel I was good enough. I didn't feel like these abilities that I had were really that great. I didn't, you know what I'm saying? I was still undermining myself. And so I'm not saying go out there with that intent to have the same intent as me, but when you go, but you have your own goal for when you go out there. And I'm excited to see just how, because you're going to evolve so much. We each are in our own way, so much more than I think we can even imagine. But I honestly foresee, and I feel, yeah, I feel your enlightenment's going to come before you get there. But you can take that with a grain of salt, or you can take that as truth. But what I feel in my intuition and what I like, you know, I normally don't leave messages like that or say things like that unless I feel it fully, and it's just reinforced fully. But I think honestly, which I'll talk to you about this a little bit more later. I don't want to talk about it too much on here, but yeah, no, you definitely are going to be doing some badass things. You already do badass things, and you know, for the abilities that I have, they're awesome. But then there's other things that I want to accomplish, and I think that's the whole point of us being seekers, is that it's not that we're unhappy with where we're at. It's just that we enjoy that growth, and we enjoy that next step, and we enjoy what else can we do that can elevate us to that next level, not to show off, not to have a 10 million followers, or at least not for me. I could care less about that. But just to be able to influence one extra person in a positive way with positive abilities. You know, that's how I perceive it. That's how I view it. And so, like I said, those of us that are going out there with pure intent. And so with pure intent comes pure growth, and pure growth from pure intent and pure love. And so you're going to have some badass stuff come through, Ken. I mean, come on.
That'll be cool.
You already do. You already do. Come on.
Yeah, it'll be really, really cool to see what's gonna, what I'll be able to unlock, and like, other abilities and stuff like that as well. So yeah, so all right. So once again, how do you say your name one more time?
Eoacci. Eoacci.
Eoacci, and what's the last name?
Eoacci. Eoacci. What was that? Sorry.
What's the last name? Eoacci. What is it?
Oh, Eoacci Ein. Or you can
Eoacci
say it
Ein.
one of two ways. You can say Eoacci Ein or Eoacci Ein. It can be
I like
pronounced either.
Eoacci. I like
Yeah,
Eoacci better. So
that's
this
usually what
was
I say too.
okay. Well, thank you so much, Jessica. Eoacci in, or what? I can't say it.
Just
But
and I'm probably just do the Eoacci.
Eoacci.
It's
Okay.
easier.
Well, this was Eoacci. Thank you so much for talking about your orbing abilities, and what you're expecting to learn from Steve, as well as light language and stuff like that. Thank you so much. And yeah, just exciting stuff. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys soon.
Thanks, guys.
Bye bye.